Hey everybody. Today I am going to do something a little different. I'm going to show you how I put together a painting. I'm going to show you how I think about building and putting parts together, and what my process is. I'm going to use, after having our guest speaker a few weeks ago with the company, the Van Gogh company that came. These were gifted to me when they came last time, and so I thought they're just so nice. I've never really used them, maybe once or twice. But, I do think their products are really nice. The things that they've given me, I have used them. It looks like I have used these a little bit, but I'm going to try doing a drawing today with these, which I've never done my drawings with these, so we'll see how it goes. I also have some nice Rembrandt chalk pastels I wanted to show you that also came from them, in case anyone wants to order any of those things. I do have that recording. I will get that to you soon, and some new links and things he sent to us. So this is a beautiful box of Rembrandt pastels that I think I've done a couple demos with them. That light looks pretty intenso. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you these. Haven't really tried them out too much. They're pretty soft. Of course, someone decided that they're going to start sawing when I decided to start recording. So if you can hear it, little noise in the background, that's what that is. But we're going to just take it as it goes. Okay, so the way that I start a painting or a drawing is I like to think about, what do I want to do a painting or a drawing of? Now, a lot of times I want to do a painting or a drawing of a people or a person under a blanket, because that's my theme. But there's more to it than just that, right? So there is the, oh, that looks really crooked. There is the subject, and then there's more to the narrative. So we have to understand that when we're making a painting, we're making a narrative. And the narrative can include people, or maybe it doesn't include people, but it definitely, I'm talking about figurative paintings, I'm talking about landscape paintings, I'm not talking about abstract paintings. So I'm talking about narrative paintings, paintings of people, places, things. So my subject matter is people. It's people under blankets, and specifically right now, it's people under blankets in quarantine, which means they're at home, which means I'm looking at my home, right? Or I'm just making up homes. Sometimes I just make up a room, but I like to use my references of things around me a lot of times. So if I have people or a person under a blanket and they're in quarantine, they're in a room, I need to decide then, what room are they in? Are they in a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, a bathroom? So I've been doing bed ones, and I've been doing couches, and I'm gonna put bed, because I've been doing like a lot of people in couples under blankets in bed, like laying together for quarantine. So let me just pull this up. So I like to then, after I decide where the people go, so your answers are going to be different than mine, or maybe the first time you want to copy mine, and that's fine. But another example would be, for a landscape painter, they might pick a deer in the mountains with a lake in the front. Okay, so then we need to decide the light source, because that's going to decide the tone, it's going to decide the color, it's going to decide the mood, which is also the tone. But I mean this like emotionally. If it's a darker painting, it has a different mood, but also tone is mood or tone interchangeably sometimes, depending on who you're asking. So light source, tone, mood, color. And so let's say I've been using lamps as my light source. If you're a landscape painter, it might be the sun would be another option. And then if it is the sun and you are placing your subject matter outdoors, where the heck is the sun in the sky? Is it here, 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 or here? Because if the sun is here, you're going to have your most direct light. If you have a person coming, and it's going to be brighter where the sun is hitting the person, and then the shadow side will be over here. Oops, I'm cutting it off. Okay, so let me show you that again. So my example is an indoor example, so I'm using a lamp as my source, so I know exactly where that is. But if you have the sun, you're going to have to choose where the sun goes. Okay, so let's give it a try. So then I give myself a little thumbnail sketch. And I'm going to decide my subject matter. So let's say I want to draw people under a blanket, but I don't know what people under a blanket looks like. I don't have people under a blanket. I Google it. I scroll through different pictures. I look at the different folds in the blankets that I like. This one's cute. So maybe I'll try this one. So then I will hold it down, add to photos. Then I'll go to my photos. Where is it? And then there's my reference photo. Okay, so because this reference photo specifically is like bed up close and a little bit of top of bed and a window in the background, and there's a lamp back there, but the light source is coming from here because it's really bright right here. But I'm just using this as a jumping off point. I don't have to crop it the way that this is cropped, but I do like the way this couple is snuggling. So that's my reference point that I'm gonna just start with. Now I'm thinking, let me change the rotation of my box already. And just, let's see, let me think here, because I want to have my light source. So I really want to make sure that I put my bedside table in there. And I'm actually just, you know, making this up as I go. I'm just drawing a bedside table out of simple shapes. And I'm going to put my lamp on it pretty quickly because I know that I want the lamp and the light to come this way. Okay, so then I'm putting this at a bit of an angle, and then I'm going to have the bed start about here. But I'm just making it up, and I'm just trying different, you know, possibilities. And if it looks weird, then I'll change it. So I just have my bed in my head because it's my bed. So I'm going to paint my bed frame because I know that's what it looks like. And now I'm getting out of my box here. And I'm getting a little more floor, and I'm starting to realize that this is looking really big and really weird. And if I had people here, it has a weird angle. So let's start over. Let's try out even smaller this time. So let me try a composition maybe a little more like, trying to keep myself a little smaller. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so what I want to do is get like the expansiveness of the top of this mattress. So maybe I'll start with that. Like I broke my own rule in the beginning and I started with the light source, but I should actually start with the mattress. So my default setting always ends up sort of looking like the picture because we become, you know, really easily swooned, I guess, by the picture. It's really easy to become a slave to the picture. So I'm going to start putting in these shapes and just these lumpy bodies in the room, in the bed, because that's what my subject matter is. And I'm going to put them in just to get that shape in there. And then I can decide from there, like, is this box working for me? You know, I could actually change my light source. That could be interesting because I do see this window back here. So what if in the picture the window's shut, but in real life, or in my painting, what if the sun is shining and the sunlight is coming through the window, hitting them in the morning? I just keep changing little angles as I'm doing this. I'm just sort of feeling it out. You know, if you need experience with what this looks like, go draw your bed. I've drawn my bed like 100 times. So, and now I can sort of just do it from memory. And if you think you can't, you'll probably prove yourself wrong if you just try. So just try making things up. I know it's really intimidating, so I've really gone out of my box here, but I do like, I like the idea of having the window. I like the idea of expanding this room a bit. Maybe I'll add like a table coming in here or something. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now. What else could we put? So just play with it and let yourself, let your mind kind of wander and let your imagination flow. You might have to do several of these to get it right. So that's one option there. So, let's see, I think I'll put like some cups of coffee here. I like that drama too, of like how dramatic that table is looking. Maybe it's looking a little dramatic actually. Probably needs to go a little bit more. That. Maybe this table leg comes down here. Just sort of playing with it. If you don't know what it looks like, go look at your bedroom, go look at your living room. If you're painting out something from outside, try to maybe use pictures or use references you can use master paintings, like go look up a Titian and then put the people in the same places that his people are, but make them contemporary, make them the people that you're stuck in quarantine with right now, who are driving you crazy, but you just wanna, they can become your subject matter. So another thing I really like is flip-flops. It's like a thing that I like to put in my paintings. So I like to just make things up that I like. I like to put things that I like in my paintings. Or maybe like the one person has slippers. And this to me is like a door over here. Okay, so there's that. I've started finding the corners of the walls. Oh, that doesn't really make sense. Yeah, because it's in the corner of the room, but it's out here. Okay, so now everything's coming out. All the light's going to come out from there. So now I've created some pretty one-point perspective, which I didn't even know I was doing, but I did it. So I have one-point perspective. I have a table with coffee. I have a bed. I have two people in the bed, and then I have a window with the sunlight coming in from there, and some sandals and slippers, and they're in a room. And the doggy wants to come in. Frosty, come on, come here. You can come. Come on. Come on. I know. Okay, so now what? Now we figure out the tone. I'm realizing that I don't have my pencil sharpener with me, and that's, well, I do. I just have to find why. I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, so back in business, sharpened all my pencils. So back to what I was doing. So now I realize I did this in purple, but now like just grab a pencil or just use the purple. And I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Black is the darkest at 4. So you're gonna make yourself a grid. I used to think this was ridiculous and useless. Not useless, but it just seemed so obvious to me, but it's really not as obvious as you think it is. And you really need to test yourself to figure out, I don't know, you need to figure out if you actually know where these things go. So where do I put the brightest light? Well, it's going to be here in the center where the sun is, but it's morning, so maybe the sun is like a little further down. Now I'm thinking maybe the sun's a little further down. So don't be afraid to move things around if it's not working for you. You could change the size of that window. I could move it up or down, or, you know, nothing is in stone. This is pencil. Think of it as clay, you know, just be able to stick a nose, take it off one part and add it to another part if you need to. So I like to think of it kind of like that. I'm still like this actual, like, what is this shape? Is this a long ways, or is it horizontal, or, you know, or up and down shape? Should I make it longer or should I make it wider? Because a regular paper size isn't that. It's kind of square right now. Maybe I just want to keep it as a square. I don't have a measuring tape with me, but you can hold up any sort of thing, and look at that, it is pretty much a square. I can get a little bit wider on this side, and I can see my drawing wants to go all the way over here anyway, so why not do that? Then we can have table legs. Okay, so my drawing has just changed a little bit. I've decided on a square. Yours might really quickly be obvious for you which way you want to orientate it, but it makes a really big difference, you know? How much wall do you need? How much wall do you want? How big should the bed be? How small should the bed be? These are all parts of this is your little universe here. So, you know, I love a good bright light just coming over, like morning light just blasting over these people. So this is definitely going to be like a really bright sun. And I think I'm going to have a blind come in here, and that's going to really change the tone of the room from this part, you know, and this can be even a little darker and more dramatic. So I like to think about what time of day is it and why. You know, is it early morning? I haven't painted really. I've painted a lot of evening photos or paintings. I haven't painted a whole ton of morning light paintings, but maybe now's the time. So at this point, you know, it's part going with your gut, but it's also partially preparing your knowledge so that you're able to do this kind of thing and be able to create an environment from your head. And you should piece it from nature. That's why I think, you know, drawing from life is still extremely important. It's not that I don't want you to draw from life. It's not that I don't want you to not paint landscape, plein air. I love those things. They're extremely important. But I think people have forgotten the power of their own imagination. And I think it's time to empower people to like understand that they can create their own little world, and that's exactly what painting is. You are making your own little universe. Okay, so this was the back wall. The bed, the bed frame down here, wood, then legs, and mattress. And it's all kind of going back in space into a 1-point perspective. So if the light's coming this way and the blind is closed, so the light really starts getting pretty bright where the blind is coming up. And there's always a little more light peeking through the blind anyway. So I'm just Thinking now about how the bed would create a big darker shadow behind this side of the wall here. And okay, so sounds like something going on. I'll be back. Okay, so this is getting pretty cool now. I also think obviously under the bed it'll be darker, and there's no light hitting the side of the bed. But I do think some of that light is going to come down and hit, but maybe there's a little more shadow here first. So it's kind of getting exciting now. I love doing this, and I challenge you to pick a subject that you like. It doesn't have to be blankets. It can be chess, it can be having tea, it can be, golfing or knitting. Like paint your knitting needles, paint your cookbooks, paint your stack of books, draw your dinner. The world is your oyster. You can make it as magnificent and exciting as you want, or you can let these things not feel as beautiful, but they really are majestic if you just pay attention to life. So I'm referencing life, I'm referencing humanity, I'm referencing the times, I'm being contemporary with my choices. I also feel like I'm showing that I have ability to use one point perspective. Oh wait, that doesn't make sense, does it? No, it don't. And so let's think about our tones. Okay, so it's got to get a little darker up here. So I'm coloring this in, and I'm thinking about where do I want to put my darks so that my lights look good. Because your lights are gonna, like, if you want to make a color look neon, I like to make this really neon moon glow green in my paintings, and I do some night paintings, but it's not that the paint is neon green, it's that the blue around it is so dark. And so this room being darker around the couple makes them more highlighted, makes the story more interesting, adds to the drama of what we're going through as human people on this planet, living through a pandemic, and just trying to make it through each day and help each other, and still these moments were just a lot of rest time. I've had a lot of just doing things like what this room looks like, laying in bed and drinking coffee and meditating, and I just think it's nice to share these beautiful little intimate moments. I think people relate to them because it reminds them of themselves and their people and their person that they love. And that's been my experience with these paintings, at least. With the blankets, the people are more autonomous because they're more covered up. I've been putting more faces lately, like this. This could totally have a couple faces here. It doesn't have to be covered. I think they're kissing, but I kind of just let the marks actually dictate what happens a lot of times, like especially in the faces. I think I do that. Does the blanket end up coming a little higher, or is his nose his, and is he coming to kiss her here, and then like how far up does this blanket go? So all these things are running through my mind. Actually, yeah, the shadow goes this way, this way. And are those correct? I think they need to be a little more straight up. If you catch your head turning when you're drawing, that's a good indication that your drawing is crooked and your head is like trying to fix it. Your brain is like trying to straighten it out. So if you notice that your head is cocking to one side when you're drawing, it's a really good indicator that you need to hold your drawing back away from you, lift it up and push it back. So a little bit of bottom of window here, a little bit of shadow under the window frame. Build out that window frame a little bit now. Just try to imagine some details. Channel your grandma's house. I bet you know your grandma's house so much more than you think you do. Or if you grew up in one childhood home, like you have so many memories. I grew up in 4. So, I think that really, those being able to memorize rooms when you're a kid, you're looking around, those memories are pretty extraordinary, and you can use them, or use something contemporary, or look at artists that you like, look at their rooms that they're creating. Now, yeah, I have experience in 1-point perspective. I have experience in tone. So we've got, first we did narrative. And that's your subject and where they are. So that's like the who, how, where, what, when, and why. That's what we're dealing with here. Then I also like to deal with tone. And that has to do with your light source, which dictates then, how light or dark the room is going to be, depending on if it's a lamp or a window or the sun, or, you're outside or inside. Inside light can be very dramatic and fun. Yeah, I was correct with my shadow. It should maybe go like that, but maybe it's not that exaggerated. But whatever, it's my world. La 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 la. Okay. Tone. So light source, we're dealing with the mood. So that's gonna be what you're looking at here. Really dictates a mood. To me, it looks like a sun rising, and a new day, and there's coffee, and they're drinking coffee, but they're back in bed because it's quarantine. So what else are we gonna do? And they're having an intimate moment, which to me is like a sweet way of like giving out good energy during this time by sharing intimate moments, sweet moments, that can be sort of like a positive part of quarantine, maybe like getting to get closer with your friends or family, or maybe you're stuck with some people and you're tired of it, but you also have maybe had some more intimate conversations with that person. And if you haven't, then you should go do this, because life's short. So then the last part of this would be and this is a study for a longer piece that maybe I'll then do in gouache. And I totally got so carried away with this that I forgot about my pastels. Excuse me. So let's throw a few of those on here now. I'm going to just take out some of these dark. Any of this gray pencil is going to make my yellow look pretty dirty. So I'm going to take a moment to just lighten all the parts that I know I want to be really light. And I also really love the look of erased out marks, thinking about like William Kentridge and his ability to use his eraser as his drawing tool for his story. I just think that's so great. Oh, so I keep forgetting that this is like the back wall, and these are, so this plane should be slightly different from this plane. And what needs to happen is just a wee bit of darkness on this further back wall. So we're going to take this to a 2 here. Well, that doesn't feel very right. And then I just play back and forth until I feel like it feels right. And you can take days to do this. You know, I usually leave these out on my desk so I can look at them while I'm eating breakfast or whatever I'm doing throughout the day, and really take a moment. And then you start seeing, you know, I like to sleep on it before I make big decisions, because the next day it's usually pretty clear what's wrong with your painting. So take a break from it, go for a walk, go look at something else, go look at some other artists. That's another great thing. That's one reason I like art books is, whoa, now it's starting to look like holy window here. Tone that down. So you can see like too much light is also too much light. So there's a happy balance. I'm going to take a few of these little bits of the folds into threes. Now you can look at a picture. I've done so many blanket paintings that can kind of just make up the folds. Okay. Now we can throw a little bit of color on it. See what we got. I'm gonna add some yellow. Ooh, I like this. So I'm adding yellow where my light is falling. Let it get a little muddy, let it be a little messy. This is just a scribble, just a study. If you think of things as a study, it'll just give your mind a little bit of relaxation. So the light would hit here. Just thinking about, if you don't know where the light would hit in your made up light source, just think about where the sun hits you when you're wherever. Okay, also, if you still can't figure that out, then wait and go to a window at the time of day that you want your painting to look like, and then draw it. Actually, maybe I'll put orange. Some orange now. Just be crazy with it. Like, it's fun. Fun. Let yourself play. Let yourself let go. Let yourself get lost in it. I'm literally keeping like down into the painting, and I forget that I'm teaching because I love color so much. And so sometimes demos are hard for me because it's actually extremely hard to describe what you're doing while you're doing it. I try to do it as best as I can, but sometimes I don't realize what people don't know. So if there's something that's unclear at some point, feel free to email me any questions. I'm gonna continue to record the sessions like this so that we can save them and they won't have so many interruptions. And I'm going to be able to post them and share them with you more. And they'll be less annoying to watch. Pretty rough. And I'm not a big editor, so it's always better to be able to just have a nice, calm session that you can watch this, and if I go too fast, just make sure that you pause it at any time, and then when you're ready, you can unpause it. Okay, so now I'm moving that orange up, getting a little braver as I go on. You know, I like to start with yellow because it's the least timid. It's like the easiest to blend in with other colors. It goes along with everyone. But then I like to, and orange is a pretty intense color. So you can get your finger in there if you want and blend it, or you can try a blending tool. I'm gonna go to this purple again, try to darken up my darks. I'm going to put my darks in all the places I think should be dark. Just sort of playing with it, letting my purple pencil tell me where to go. This side's got to be way darker because it's going to have a big bit of shadow. Her face is going to darken up. This whole side's going to darken up. And down here. I don't think it really wants to lay up here, but I'm trying to get it to. Just don't want to sit on top of the pencil so much. I actually like to do this part in India ink as well. Let's get some blue in there. It's feeling pretty woo. Gotta tone it down with some soft blue. Let's cool it down a little bit. Cool off, because it does also feel like early morning light to me. It's yellow, but it's also like cool. Has a lot of dewiness to it. We've been having these very cloudy mornings. Really nice, but also very like marine layer. That's like a good place. That little bit of shadow. A bit of change of plane here has to become a little bit more clear. Same with this side. I also like these light colors. Sometimes I'm noticing this is becoming a really good blending tool. Okay, definitely down here. Tone that down. Cool it off. Got blue up in here. All right, I think that's pretty good for today. So that's my study, and then I will make a gouache painting out of it later. But that's how I do it. Thanks, everybody.